white powders versus black powders. So instead of dust, humans from dust, particles as dust, the smallest material as dust-like, it's better to see it as powder-like. See, there's a biological and a chemical and a pharmaceutical sense that powder has, where dust may still have an agricultural, a historical, or religious, even artistic sense, but powder still has that sense as well. So if you look at powder, I guess there's the sounds like power. Powder has a power that dust may be seen as a placebo about, inert. Obviously, the modern context that evolved, industrial, kind of delineated, established embodiment of, a small gas-like state. Obviously, it's like powder is gas-like, just like dust is gas-like. Powder is also like liquid, it fills up a container like liquid. And so there's the white powder, so obviously you could see it as the salt, the sugar, the kind of plastic, paper mache form of powder. But obviously, we know white light. Same way we can say dust is light, like light is dust like. Obviously, it's the particle nature of it. And so we also have the diffraction and the refraction of light, which turns the white into colors. But this obviously doesn't happen with the black powder or the black light. So obviously, if you place like a glass box, a prism, it's not diffracting the black light into, a sort of rainbow or limited spectrum. I guess in the same way we could imagine the radioactive spectrum, the electromagnetic spectrum, where there's like microwaves, infrared on one end, and gamma rays, ultraviolet on the other end. Obviously, has this light, white sort of suggestion, this small section that's white, and this kind of unseen section. On graph, it'd just be like black or something. And so obviously, this is the sense that I have of the white powders and the black powder. I guess we can look more specifically as the black powder being gunpowder. I guess the modern equivalent is smokeless powder, smokeless powder, gunpowder, black powder. There's the sense of the evolved state of the black powder is even less white, even less like producing white smoke. Obviously, smoke could be black, but it's just the names of it, the nomenclature, the sense of the color, obviously having a chemical property as well. Obviously, if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum of the visible light, we can compare it to dark matter, where we consider dark matter, darker than the visible white light, being more gravitationally significant. I guess there's even with white and black people this sort of democratic sense of calling white people majority and dark-skinned people minorities. Obviously democratic because it allows white people to kind of not so much have a vote, but see the effects of their votes. Because obviously with the predominance of dark-skinned people, in the world. There's kind of this sense of it obviously just being the, being the majority. Obviously, it's not so democratic, and it's more reflecting the tyrannical, you know, effects of the people that are living under the political system. And so obviously this is similar with black powder. It's the guns and the military. And obviously this is, you can corrupt people with black powder, but it's like guns don't kill people. The people kill people. Black on black crime, white on white crime. I guess even, it's the sense of all the colours being white anyway. And, the greater sense of there being a sort of spirit, which obviously can't be white in as much as visible. If it's a spirit, a shadow entity, a shadow being, obviously a sort of ghost, someone's, it's the dark matter. It's the gravitational effects of their macroscopic visible behavior. It's the things that you aren't seeing. It's the energy there. It's the fluidity that you aren't seeing, the dark fluid that you aren't seeing, which is a mixture of the dark matter and the dark energy. And so there's the obviously the sense of kind of guns being a new invention. Obviously cannons, stuff like that, also have been around for ages. So maybe the black powder has always taken different forms. Obviously, to be completely aware of the weaponry that people must have been using throughout humanity, obviously would be a sort of a military disadvantage. So if there was a sort of form that was different from a gun or a cannon that humans have been using gunpowder for, black powder for, then obviously that would be a military advantage, be a bit more significant than, let's say, a drug, a pharmaceutical, sugar, a sweetener, food, even. Obviously this kind of sense of white being all the colours, like all the things we see visible, even the black things that have like a shiny gloss on it. That obviously it's not a black gloss, it's a coloured gloss. So it's the sense that it's not really black. Obviously there's this sense, obviously in there's the white people who pretend to be black and the black people who pretend to be white. Obviously there's black powders that pretend to be white, like paint, so much so it's not gunpowder, it's not flammable, it's not that, it doesn't have that type of effect. Obviously chemically the periodic table doesn't really provide a foundation for colour in any sort of way, and so obviously it's neither supporting the black or the white. The periodic table is more of a neutral participant in the world of things, the internet of things, also containing lots of data structures which are obviously clearly visible. Obviously it might be a bit hard to believe that there's a sort of dark energy of the internet, obviously hard to believe in as much as that you can't see it. Therefore, how is it having its gravitational effect? And obviously it kind of wouldn't be the sense that it is, obviously it's just humans having this effect, humans using white powders and black powders. Obviously if you just imagine how a powder compares to a person, there's drug addicts and there's military addicts, gun addicts. Obviously it's just a person who has lost their humanity, who is obviously they have a death wish. Obviously it's more of a dehumanizing wish. So, but obviously I would suggest this is more of an attraction to the powdered form. Obviously it's this sense of people wanting to be a spirit rather than having a spirit as a human and accepting that humans have spirits and that their flesh is spiritual and stuff like that. yeah, so with the whole powdered situation, I guess we can acknowledge that there's a, it's not just scientific understanding that is obviously the owner of powders. I wouldn't really try to form another discipline around the form of powders. That isn't the point. Obviously, this connects to the sex race video, the video where I was talking about the disciplines that are in construction, in the social, in society, in the modern society, in first world countries. Disciplines like feeling and apology. You obviously could relate this to the black and white divide, where they have different feelings and expect different things to be apologized about. And this obviously doesn't necessarily connect to the black and white powders in any way but feeling. So I guess, even though I was mentioning things like capitalism and obviously it's just these three at this point, I guess it could be necessary to bring across another discipline separate from the other ones. And so as feeling was related to computing, it's kind of like to be more remote from your feelings with your feelings, just like how you would know your feelings if you were more remote from the computers with computing, kind of in a manageable way that doesn't just keep you within some sort of computer imposed reality, like out in nature, that the computers are trying to destroy. Obviously, it's like you're still abiding by or subjected to the algorithms that the people who made computers are supporting. Supporting in as much as are computing, they understand that you're really not living as different from the people that are living amongst trees and getting drugs as you were living amongst computers and making drugs from that. Drugs, food, whatever, made from computers or nature. Obviously the sense of feeling, obviously disconnecting from the computing, in as much as it helps the computing, it helps create the same algorithms that a person would do without any feeling, computer coding. Obviously reading the language, obviously it's easy just to read the tutorials and what you need to do to have certain things happen. And if an error shows up, then there's just more things to Google, there's more things to see to figure out how that happens. And so with the feeling, obviously there not being an algorithm, there still may be a rhythm, there still is a dynamic and the potential for error. And so obviously helping the computer scientists feel better in being computer people, helping them find ways to work better with the people who are subjected to them onto nature, become natural robots of nature that only compute things that are visible, like the white powder, and are suffering from the effects of gunpowder, black powder. Obviously the gravitational effects of maybe the karmic symbol, obviously a kind of suffering that is represented by gunpowder and white powders, commercial visual products, obviously other entities, other creatures being like coloured and visible, even their spirits. Obviously it's kind of just like understanding how you feel about all of the white powders, the coloured powders and the black powders, gunpowders. So there's obviously this helpfulness. Obviously you can help other people, but it's kind of like, oh, okay, how do you sustain a feeling of who you are yourself. Obviously, it's kind of like a database of feelings, which obviously is a private, decentralized database of your own, made up of your own feelings about nature, computers, white powders, black powders. So with all of this, there's obviously more discipline that needs to be put in. Obviously, the sense of compartmentalization in disciplines is to encourage interdisciplinary action. So obviously, because feeling is already doing that, and it's not really like sexism or racism where there has to be an opinion. Obviously, it's the feeling that, like computation, has a feel you are taking. It feels like you are feeling this feeling. Obviously, to write this down wouldn't be as helpful in as much as it is what you felt like writing down. So it's a felt. It's like the felt. It's the separate self. It's the abrasion, the abracadabra, the magical feeling in the database that you have developed over feeling. Let's say how computer scientists feel about computers and how people in nature feel about nature, or trees, or whatever, plants in the grounds, agriculture. And so yeah, obviously I don't want to give it a name now. What I would like to do obviously is to develop an idea that I had started a while ago when I released the Fighter Fiver video, the molecular theory delirium, which I changed to the molecular anatomy delirium, based on Karl Marx talking about at the beginning of his book Capital, the first part, talking on somewhere near the beginning, about how the molecular anatomy is being developed. Kind of like, this is what particle physics is suggesting, like these particles are anatomically in your body. Obviously they're not in your mind, but obviously they are in your brain because it is in your body, and so you can just focus on there being electrons in your brain like the neurons, but obviously there's, photons all over your body. There's the Higgs bosons all over your body. Mass is created all over your body and everywhere. That's the anatomy. Obviously, it's the anatomy that we share with the plants and all of that. And this is how people feel confident in using computers to manipulate nature in a way that doesn't disconnect them from the function of the power of nature. It's not any more or any less. And so it's basically characters where I would call them telic characters, and the alphabets that we know are relic characters, kind of an ancient sense, but it's a symbol, like a relic. But telic would be more like a television. It's not telic, but it's telic. The characters were the little symbols that I had around the Fiver picture. So there was like 13 of them. And so this is like a new language in a sense, but it would be based on the English language. Obviously, because I speak English, just like how computer code is based off of the native language of whoever has written the language. Obviously, it can be in different languages, but obviously different to computer codes. It wouldn't be relying on an algorithm, more of a type of rhythm. Obviously, it'd be a visual rhythm. And so paying attention to the molecular structures that are mostly referring to white powders. Obviously, there's this sense of gunpowder, obviously just being another white powder in the framework that I'm given, but obviously with the effects of dark energy and dark fluid, there's kind of this sense of flammability that may be hard to explain, being present in some chemicals and not others, some molecular compositions, compounds than others. Like, how do you explain that some powders are more flammable. Obviously, the best way would be to explain the blackness of it, the darkness of it, the gravitational excess of it, and so that's what's gonna happen. So obviously, this language would be used similar to, you could imagine, any other language. Obviously, the characters would be made up of a mixture of English words, not so much a phrase. It would be the sense of how you would use your rhythm or an algorithm to kind of allow something to run in a way that you want it to run. Obviously, like you would use in your language normally, like you just say things that you feel like would make you look good or make you feel good or make it compute to the other person. And so that's what these symbols are about. And so obviously, this is the space of, there's only 13 characters. Obviously, there isn't really much of an alphabet. I guess 26 would obviously be a good standard if I'm comparing it, superimposing it onto the English language. And so there's always ways of doing that. And so I could think about this discipline, this interdisciplinary discipline. It would be like feeling is to computing as linguistics is to it. Or, calligraphy. I guess, there's this sense of calligraphy obviously just being the writing, so linguistics would be a better complement to it. And so yeah, that would be the black powders and the white powders. So yeah, so the discipline obviously would be somewhat related to the need for people to create what I would call a phonicule, a sort of phony alternative to the molecular structure, or a reversible or irreversible symbol. Obviously, there's this sense of the diagram, the graph, obviously having a right way to see it and the wrong way to see it. But obviously, in this case, with the symbol, with the telic characters, it would be like the right way to see it would allow it to run well for you. And if you see it wrong, just like a normal language, if you can't read it, then it's not doing it for you really. But I guess like after you start to learn the language, you start to get what the culture, what the language was about, and this would be the same for these symbols. It wouldn't be an alphabet. But I guess obviously it'd be a way of disconnecting the English language more from the Latin and from the Greek that I feel like it needs to be disconnected from.